My Imagination is a very, very interesting track, I think, from a sonic perspective. I like the slow, woozy, almost alien atmosphere, aided with these manipulated crooning vocals. The drums sound great on this track, and I think it makes for a great opener to the project. After that awesome opener, this song takes a musical shift into a minimal synth-funk song. The dense background texture along with the keyboard patterns and how the drums progress help the track evolve into a thick mist of alluring house pop. I love the vocal melodies that Yaeji employs in the last leg of the track and how they melt into the song's atmosphere with all kinds of effects used. It's a terrific song. There are some things I like about this track. I think the groovy bass and shaky percussion coming from perhaps a tambourine or a güiro is solid enough, but it feels like it is missing a lot of layers of instrumentation. I do not like the basic vocal melodies on the track, nor do I like how the vocals are presented. None of it comes together very well for me and ends up being a pretty low point this early on in the album for me. After a pretty early sore spot in the track list, this song puts the album back on track with a very engaging sonic environment, which is made up of these sharp keyboard bits. I love how Yaeji's vocals on the track are quite lethargic, and they're well utilized with this earworm melodic mantra that I could not stop repeating for a day or two. Concluding with the drum-laced chopped vocals, I think the ending of the track is superb as well. Next up, Money Can't Buy sounds like an underground club track. The deep chunky bass, the electronic effects, and detours implemented to give the bass a variety of flavors on the track works really well. Yaeji's repeated verses and chorus is insanely catchy as they ride the BPM perfectly. Nappy Nino's verse is short-lived, but it doesn't detract from the song direction as much as it does provide a new musical perspective. It's just another great track. Though the interlude has a lot packed into it, I think the way the vocals are presented here does not do the track any favors in my book. I like the stargazy production, but the hyper nasal effects sound like they're trying to emulate Brockhampton and are just hideous to listen to. Especially the first vocal spot, it sounds like Mini Me of Mir Van on Helium. In its totality though, I think it's an okay track. This is an incredibly bouncy track. I love the bubbly percussive rhythms and just how great the artist's vocals sound on here while giving them each their own flair. Yaeji has a more subdued vocal delivery aided with these vocal tidbits tailing each of her lines. Yan Yan, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, has tremendous flow and spunk on her verse, and Glam has a more rugged, more introspective verse that pairs well with the spacey background texture. It's probably my favorite on the album. I mean, on the mixtape. Waking Up Down is a track that I think loses a bit of its allure because of the way the track concludes. I love the first 2 minutes of the track with the glossy alternating keyboards and the core vocal melody of the track. I'm just waking up down, I'm just waking up down. But during the last leg, the track shifts its tempo into an awkward fashion that does not complement the first 2 minutes very well. The post-tempo shift composition isn't awkward by itself, but the two, when they mesh together, do not bridge very well. I still like it though. This, I think, is the most interesting song on the album in terms of its sound. The production features this droning monolith in the background that consumes so much audible space. It's like a freaking black hole. I love the drum break passages with the Yaeji's very distinctive vocal delivery and an engaging kinetic melody while the droning is overhead of these segments. From a sonic standpoint alone, I love this track. From a music standpoint, it is fantastic. Attempting to continue the previous track's atmospheric ambition, the thing sounds like a set piece staged in a space station. There are these spoken word segments littered through the entire track that talk about the essence of being, perhaps from an alien perspective or a robotic perspective. The production emphasizes heavily on a shifting percussive sound, one moment being a low profile bass rhythm to another being a musical slap bass. I will say it is a bit padded with some of the segments breaking up the pace with underwhelming vocals, which can make the track feel like it has an inconsistent tone, but as a whole I still think it's really good. At first I liked the track a lot, mostly because of the very way out there soundscape. But revisiting it opened up some monotony that I couldn't really enjoy as much as I did at first. The vocal mantra is repeated over and over, and it gets stale really fast, and there isn't a whole lot of depth to the atmosphere that keeps me engaged. I do like the sound effects, and I like the way the horn on the track is used sparingly with some interesting effects. Not enough to pull me back in. I really appreciate how this track uses elements from previous songs. It makes it feel like the other tracks played a big part in helping to craft and hone this sound, and gives the closer a feeling of cohesive continuity. The minimal drum passages in the first minute, the reintroduction of the spacey, dreamy backdrop in the middle portion, and the drum bass finish all feel like they reference the rest of the album and how it progresses. I will say though, I don't think the vocals were as potent as they could have been for a track like this. I thought they were a bit undercooked or just didn't fit sometimes, and it goes for a little bit too long too, but I do think it's a solid closer. What We Drew is a project I ended up loving and adds a lot more to the house scene, if you ask me. The various other genres like hip-hop, dream pop, and even drone that are packed into this project, for the most part, feel very well implemented and felt very unique for Yaeji. There were a couple tracks that I thought had some fluff or questionable liberties for my taste, but I am very excited to hear what Yaeji does next with another project, mostly because I think her previous EPs were engaging at some points, but never enough to really keep me like, wow, I really want to come back and listen to this. But yeah, great project. I give it a